Talking to me about the state resources. This was about state resources. This was about the plunder of state resources. Something that you're keen to avoid.
No, you see, this
Very
is the thing.
keen to
I'm
avoid.
not engaging.
Let's talk about that.
The leader of the National Coloured Congress, as well as a member of the Portfolio Committee of Policing, Fadiel Adams, has taken an exclusive interview with eNCA after he has refused to hand himself today, saying that he will hand himself tomorrow. But this interview, he comes across as extremely aggressive, that he just couldn't hold his anger towards even the reporter himself, and just came across as a man filled with a lot of hatred and anger. In this video, I wanted us to actually react to this particular exclusive interview with eNCA. I won't delve deep into what is actually going on because I made a video regarding that, and I implore you guys to go and watch that particular video. But this is in relations, this warrant of arrest that is requesting Mr. Fadiel Adams to hand himself to the police is in relation to his visit of the person who unalived Mr. Sindiso Magaqa, an ANC member who was a Secretary General of the ANC Youth League. And it just so happened that this man was unalived and he was a whistleblower because he was about to blow the whistle regarding some corruption that is happening. And this man of Fadiel Adams took it upon himself to go and take statements from him, do his own investigation, and interfering with the ongoing police investigation. From what we've heard from Aklenda Mate, he went there 3 times. He just kept on going. He just couldn't stop. And the way he justified it, he spoke about even Patricia Mashele and how Patricia Mashele and many others are the ones who actually made him to go and investigate, because they told him that actually General Dumisani Khumalo is so much involved in this particular matter. Come, let us react together to this exclusive interview of Mr. Fadiel Adams.
Seeds of crime intelligence. Crime intelligence is headed by one Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo, who I have laid criminal charges against and who is before the court, before the Pretoria Magistrates Court, on charges of fraud and corruption. I went and I saw the person that killed Sindiso, and he said to me, I do not want money, I do not want a reduced sentence, I want to tell the truth. General Khumalo is involved in the murder of Sindiso Magaqa. I said, what? He said, yeah. He said, the police drove us to and from the scene of the crime. He gave me a statement to this effect, which I brought to Parliament a year ago. I said to Parliament, this is what the killer is saying. Has the South African Police Service taken a 15-minute drive to go and see this killer to find out if it's true? No, they haven't. But they've come 1,500 kilometers to come and trace me because I brought a letter a year.
The question that I have is Parliament going to corroborate the story that he actually did ask of them? Because now we want the Parliament to come and tell us if indeed they did come, Fadiel Adams did go to them and told them about this, and then what did they say? Did they give him that task to go and do the investigation on behalf of Parliament, or what happened? I want to know the resolution regarding Parliament, because he says he approached Parliament regarding this particular allegation that Dumisani Khumalo is involved.
This has got nothing to do with the killing of Sindiso Magaqa. This is about the House of Cards falling apart. This is about the generals that are being locked up every month because of the work I'm doing. This is intimidation of the highest order. But look at the bail conditions of General Dumisani Khumalo. It says that he's not allowed to interfere with the witnesses in his case. Who's investigating me? His unit. Who signed off on the budget for them to come to Cape Town and arrest me? His unit. They are appealing to me to hand myself over. Didn't they read the email I sent to them 3 weeks ago? I said, I know what you're trying, but I don't want armed gunmen in my house with masks and terrify my children. I'm happy to hand myself over. Did they give me the courtesy?
If you are happy to hand yourself over, why is it that you have not handed yourself over by now? Because I would have expected that by now Mr. Fadiel Adams has already handed himself over. The fact that he's even talking about tomorrow, he was supposed to have handed himself over from yesterday. And now he says he'll hand himself over on Wednesday. This guy thinks that we are fool. He's just afraid of prison. It's as simple as that.
See of handing myself over? No. They come at 4 a.m. in the middle of the night like thugs, like thieves, because they want to intimidate me. I'm not scared. An alleged criminal is running crime intelligence and the PKTT. Can South Africa allow this to set in? Can we think about this? Can we talk about this? How is this allowed?
I pray that Lieutenant General Madlanga Commission sues this guy, calling him a criminal. I don't know if he's saying Lieutenant General Magaqa is the criminal or Dumisani Khumalo is the criminal, but whoever that he's referring to by saying he's the criminal, that person must sue Fadiel Adams. He thinks he's smart, this one.
Thursday in portfolio. And it's in the minutes. I asked Minister Katsalia, how is it that Dumisani Khumalo is still heading crime intelligence when he is an alleged criminal and before the court for fraud? The minister couldn't even answer the question. Is this what South Africa is going to accept? Is this how we treat whistleblowers? But I got news for Dumisani Khumalo. If this is your best, then you come way short. We will see you in the High Court tomorrow morning.
Guys, I definitely agree with Lieutenant General Nadam Khwanazi. Fidel Adams is extremely obsessed with Dumisani Khumalo. It's not even funny. The way he wants Dumisani Khumalo. I wonder, guys, what is it that Dumisani Khumalo has done to Fidel? Because, hey, wamubata. Like, he wants him. Wamulava. Umulava nkofu. Umulava nkofu. Umulava nkofu, because what?
Where you will unpack the information that you refuse to give to my attorney. Understand, they come to arrest me but won't give my attorney, on record, any information. They are now telling the country I was due in court yesterday. They did not tell my attorney this. When my attorney asked for the details, what are you charging my client for? In which province? No, we will not tell you. And it's on email. Can you people understand that these are thugs? Can you people understand that I'm being investigated by an alleged criminal?
Let me just try and engage you on your visit to the visit. From your press conference the other day, you confirmed that you had a full statement for the gentleman that you visited. Tell us about that full statement. Why did you go and get a statement? What is its purpose? What are you doing with it? And where is it currently? I want to understand the value of that statement to you.
Patricia Mashali, a good friend of mine, a whistleblower, a known whistleblower, who actually just won a court case for defamation against a police general. She calls me and says to me, Fadiel, this is the name of the prisoner. I can't leave my house. These people will kill me. Will you go and listen to him? He's saying that Khumalo is involved in the death of Sindiso Magaqa. I say, for sure. I go to the prison. I am met by 2 officers from Correctional Services and a warrant officer from DPCI. The killer cannot speak English and I cannot speak Zulu. So everything is translated and the statement is taken by the gentleman from DPCI. And the statement confirms. But look, the court must make that ruling, not me. That there was police involvement in the killing of Sindiso Magaqa. Now they're saying it's at a sensitive stage. How long does it take to investigate a simple murder in your area? No, man, no. That young man deserves justice, his family deserves justice, and that is what we aim to give. And for this, they want to criminalize me. I'm sorry, man.
Oh, answer the question, Mr. Fidel Adams. What did you do with the statement? Angere, you said you went and took the statement and stuff. What was the purpose of the statement? Was it because of Patricia Mashali? Is Patricia Mashali that powerful that you, as the member of parliament, part of the policing committee, you take a statement from Patricia Mashali and we are a godla. That's what they say in isiZulu. You just keep that statement to yourself. What was the purpose of you taking the statement? It's as simple as that. Then he goes and tells us about Patricia and justice. Answer the question, Fadiel.
Alleged criminals will not criminalize me.
Let's talk about still on that statement.
He's gaslighting us. This is gaslighting to the highest order. Because answer the question, why now you're addressing other things? You
say there was an intermediary from the DPCI. How were you able to get assistance for you to be able to get the gentleman to depose to that statement? And when you say statement, perhaps I should ask, was this a statement that was formally deposed to in the presence of law enforcement such that that statement becomes a sort of statement that is binding on that gentleman for whatever the legal process will be?
Yes. The statement is binding. And this gentleman, this warrant officer's number was sent to me by a friend who I will not disclose because he'll probably get arrested as well, if not killed.
Also, what is the charge for the basis of the statement?
I didn't know this officer. The charge for the basis of the killer statement.
No. What I'm saying is the statement was deposed.
Is that the question you're asking?
On the strength of what? Did somebody open a particular case and now they wanted a witness statement such that that statement that you were able to ensure was deposed to was secured? Where is it coming from? Or pursuant to what?
No. This is me acting on a tip-off from a renowned whistleblower. That's all it is. I don't have investigative power. I did not present myself as a policeman.
Guys, Fadiel Adams is referring to Patricia Mashele as a renowned whistleblower. A renowned whistleblower. A lady who went to ad hoc committee and she came across as someone who doesn't even know what she's talking about. I don't know. I wish to one day understand what is this thing that is renownable. I don't know if that's the right English word. Renownable about Patricia Mashele. I still don't. Maybe you guys who are close to her, or you understand, or even her herself, if she sees this episode, what is it that is renownable about her? Because I'm still trying to understand. Because Usenzo Mchunu relied on her to disband the PKTT. Here is Fadiel Adams relying on her to go and visit a criminal who unalived someone. Yo.
I went there, I signed the register of the prison, I went in as a member of parliament, I sat down with this guy, I took his statement, well, I didn't take his statement, but I took his statement, and I reported to parliament a year ago. I said, guys, this is what this man is saying. Now, if there was something criminal in what I did, why wait a year before you charge and hound me? Is it because you people are getting locked up monthly? Is it because you're facing long criminal charges, long prison sentences? I tell you now, sir, there's nothing to this. It doesn't make sense. If I did anything wrong, I told this to these same generals in parliament 1 year ago. Where's the sense in it?
Okay, that's a crucial point that you've raised, because at least now I understand. It's not a statement because it was deposed to following a request from a law enforcement agency on the strength of a particular case number. You essentially went there to speak to somebody and gather the equivalent of evidence. Let me call it that for lack of a better term. You were there on parliamentary duty, and subsequent to that visit to that prison or that prisoner, you went back to parliament and reported what essentially took place during the course of that visit. Do I understand you clearly?
Yes, to an extent.
Okay.
To an extent.
What happened?
I was also there for another meeting.
I beg your pardon.
But
continue.
No, I was in Durban for another meeting. But because I knew what was happening, or what was alleged to be happening, I decided to go to the Westville Prison.
Parliament needs to come, guys, and say something regarding this. It doesn't look good for Parliament. Because he's saying he was doing his parliamentary duty.
Well, I think, look, the Speaker would need to give guidance on that specifically. I'm aware that there are several parties at the moment that have already written to the Speaker, or so I hear. I haven't seen any thing that was written so far. I can tell you from my side, as the chair of the Police Committee, I'm not comfortable with him serving on the committee any longer. I think there's a direct conflict of interest. And unfortunately, Mr. Adams has previously really disrupted the committee quite a bit. Now, I don't want to get into a mudslinging contest with him, but it's become increasingly difficult to have any kind of constructive meeting with Mr. Adams when it comes to the Police Portfolio Committee. And therefore, I think, this process needs to take its course. Everyone is equal before the law, and I think once he's appeared in court, within the next 24 to 48 hours, we should have some more guidance as to how Parliament will approach the matter.
I mean, with the various committees and commissions that we've seen, you yourselves at the ad hoc committee, there are a number of holes that have been poked here in terms of just the level of engagement as it relates to, criminality issues at a broader level. How do you then, safeguard high-profile investigations, perhaps from political interference or alleged political interference? Are current laws and protections sufficient, do you think? And perhaps this is something that you will be looking into in terms of, the safeguards that already exist.
Well, I think in terms of specifically Mr. Adams' case, look, I think, first of all, regulation and legislation is already in place. It just needs to implement it correctly. His visit to the Westville Prison, the way that he did it, the way that he, I'm told, indicated that he is there on behalf of official Parliament business, in my opinion, is unacceptable. And I think it needs to be considered who allowed him to continue with that business. Why wasn't it verified? We need to consider, for example, who escorted him. Why was that allowed? He now claims that it was Metro Police, regardless of who it was.
Aye, guys. The chair, which is Ian Cameroon, all these people need to come forward because this does not look good at all.
While I'm there.
And to the extent that you went and reported back to Parliament, because you said earlier on this was all a year ago, what did you report to who? And I'm going to assume, because you say you were there on parliamentary duty, it was on the strength of your work as a member of the Portfolio Committee on Policing. You reported this back to them. How did they receive this information, and what has since happened to that open close quote evidence in the form of that statement you were able to secure?
What I mentioned in Parliament about what this man had told me, when I told Parliament, the Portfolio Committee, that I had a written statement, it was noted, and I assumed that the police would act on it, and I left it there because you don't want to push the police in the investigation and become accused of interference. Now the question the country must ask is, when Adams presented this to the portfolio, what did SAPS do about it?
What an irony. You went to prison, you interfered with the investigation, you come with a statement, then you come and you say you didn't want to interfere with the investigations. But that's the thing, you've already interfered, you're finished. What is it that now you're trying to say when you're saying that you don't want to interfere? You've already interfered. Yeah, I'm not good with body language or anything. I'm not an expert, I never studied for that. But you can just see from the body language of Fadiel that he knows that what he's done was wrong.
Because they're saying this investigation is at a sensitive stage. Have they acted on what I gave them?
So when you went to this visit and you reported back to Parliament, I'm going to assume this was fully parliamentary business, because you say you were there in Durban and this was something that you could do given the fact that you were there. This was a parliamentary sponsored trip, is that correct?
It was. Well, if it was a parliamentary sponsored trip, I used my parliamentary flight, yes. I didn't stay over, I didn't buy lunch and claim it from Parliament, nothing like that.
Help us
Nothing
understand
like that.
the use of the Metro Police. Where does that feature, and how were you able to secure that transportation or protection?
Well, you must understand, I'm in KZN. It's the home of political killings. That's why there's a KZN-based political killings task team. I'm here because...
Did the Parliament write to the PKTT or write to the subs or write to at least the Metro Police for him to be escorted with the car that is fitted with blue lights? Because if you guys can remember very well what is going on here, what is going on is that we heard from Lieutenant General Madlanga that when these people came and consulted or interviewed, they came with blue lights. They came with vehicles that have blue lights, which means they used the Metro Police services for them to go to the prison to make themselves look important. As I've said, though that aspect and all of that, I've discussed it in my first video. Please go, if you haven't watched it, watch that part.
I'm searching for very sensitive information that implicates some very senior policemen. I think I have the right to be concerned about my safety.
No.
Also, it was
You're
a Metro
absolutely
Police
right.
escort.
I'm trying to understand, and I want us to ensure that we don't misinterpret anything. You confirm that you went to this through and with the assistance of blue lights, Metro blue lights. How were you able to secure them? Was this done through parliamentary procurement processes, however they come about, or were you able to call on a favor effectively? I understand why you would want that. I understand the reasons behind all of that.
No favors were asked, sir, because I don't know anybody that works at Durban Metro. I don't. I simply indicated to my dear departed friend who I've mentioned before, Andre Lincoln, that I'd probably get shot.
Guys, this is a task. It looks like this is a task of Parliament. This is the work of Parliament. Parliament are the ones who organized this. And if he felt he's not safe, why didn't they conduct a risk assessment for Fadiel Adams? So that when he goes and does this investigation that the Parliament has approved, he has the right protection. Instead, there's no risk assessment that was done. He just went there. Everything looks reckless. The parliament decided, he just told the parliament that I'm going to do this. The parliament was like, okay, you can do it. And then what he said is that, you know what, I'm going. He went there, he organized his own protection, and then he went to visit. The police don't know. The provincial police don't know. Parliament is doing its own thing without informing the police. This story, guys, does not add up. I'm sorry. It does not add up. So that is why I'm saying that we'll wait for Ian Cameroon to comment, because he is the chair of the police portfolio committee, and also other members, they have to comment, because this does not look good for the portfolio committee.
As I got in Durban, and he said to me, we'll take care of your safety. When I got there, he called me and said, those are the people that you're looking for. They took me to the prison and brought me back. It's a 10-minute trip. Does Durban Metro want me to reimburse it? I'm happy to do it, because people are acting as if I won a 50 million rand metro tender or something. All I wanted to do was make the 10-12-minute trip to Westville Prison and back safe. That's all I wanted to do.
You say you're happy to pay it back. Why would you pay it back if this was an above-board process for you to access state institution and infrastructure with the protection of Metro Blue Lights? Why would you want to pay it back if it was above board?
If it'll make this stupid noise go away, I'm saying I'll pay it back, if that's the issue. The biggest issue in this country is waste and more waste. So I'm saying, if I'm accused of waste, let me settle the issue.
It can't be limited to waste,
Isn't that the right
Mr.
thing to do?
Adams. It can't be limited to waste, precisely because these are the questions that are now before Justice Madlanga in terms of how state infrastructure, law enforcement infrastructure in particular, tends to be used for processes that are not sanctioned for such law enforcement process. So I want us to understand, hear me well, I want to understand fully, so that this, as you call it, stupid noise, in fact goes away. How were you able to secure access to blue lights? Who did you call, or who called you? And what, if anything, was the process involved for you to confirm you are on parliamentary business, this is the agenda, and this is why I need these blue lights?
Guilty, 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 guilty. I hope he rots in jail. You see, now he's already arrested. He's already arrested. I just hope he rots inside Phakathi, the jail. Okay, I just hope.
And to the extent that you say that it is above board, what reference can you bring to the community of South Africa that speaks to that?
Okay, so let me reiterate what I said 2 minutes ago. I spoke to General Andre Lincoln, who was assisting me in many of these matters, and I said to him, I don't know if I make it back from Westville alive, and he said, no, we'll sort it out. When I got to the airport, he called me, he said to me, look for this guy. Look for this car. When I got there, I saw it was Metro. I assumed that it had been taken care of. That's it. That's the fool. But knowing what I know, that the blue light for a 10-minute trip would one day be used. Listen carefully to what I'm going to say to you now. To cover up the biggest corruption and the singular most shameful murder in the history of this democracy, I wouldn't have taken it. I'd have walked to the prison and risked it. It is so unfortunate that out of all the good things that we have done to bring all of this crime, all of these murders to light, what certain sections of the media wants to pursue is a 10-minute drive to a prison. Not in a metro car, behind the metro car.
No, I'll take that. I'll take that, Mr. Adams. I'm the one who's asking those questions.
So hold on. No. Yes, you can ask all the close questions you want to. Hold on. You can ask all the questions you want to, but then you will allow me to respond.
Sure.
Nobody's making an issue in this country about the day when Ian Cameron and Darrell James walked into Parliament like celebrities and immediately requested VIP protection, and how quickly that assessment was done. And some people say irregularly. But now Fadiel Adams, on official duty, gets into an Uber and drives behind a Metro police car for safety. This is an issue. It's very interesting. But keep going.
It's not an issue. I simply want to understand how we get there. These are some of the questions that are before Madlanga. If you have evidence of the kind that you're making allusions to and you feel strongly about it, I would imagine as a member of the Police Portfolio Committee, you know exactly where to lodge whatever the complaint is. Right now, this is an engagement between ourselves on the strength of information you have volunteered in this and previous interviews. So I want us to understand how we get where. You now can confirm you were transported by General Lincoln, who told you upon arrival at the airport, look out for this. Is this not part of a problem? Other points that you raise may very well be issues, and very credible issues at that. I'm not taking or derogating from that. I'm just zoning in on this now because we have seen in EMPD, for instance, how blue lights have been corrupted and used for an enterprise that is not within the tramlines of law enforcement and public order police.
You know, this thing just reminds me of Julius Mkhwana's, I did not put at the blue lights. This is exactly what Fadiel Adams is doing. The exact thing that Mkhwana's did. I did not put at the blue lights. You were in that car, sir. You needed the blue lights for what? For what?
You confirm you indeed enjoyed that benefit. And I'm trying to understand how you got there and what sanctioned that. You still haven't given me an answer that I can take and say, this is indeed appropriate.
But no, man, no, I have answered you. I've told you that General Lincoln told me that my safety would be taken care of when I got to Joburg. Now, when you compare what I did in Durban to what's happened at JMPD, this is a stupid comparison. No money was exchanged. No one benefited financially. It was a simple trip to a prison so the truth could come out. Now, the sad fact of all of this, let me finish. I benefited how?
Because if you needed protection, you either needed to have that paid for, or you needed to have it sanctioned by the parliamentary process. I don't hear you saying it was sanctioned by the parliamentary process, so therefore it became something that was your personal interest. If I told you it was sanctioned by the parliamentary process, I'd be lying to you. No. This is not about my personal interest. This was about the interest of the South African public and the interest of the South African police services. Now, I could have requested a police escort, but when the police are the people doing the killing, what do you want me to do? It is easy for you to sit there and criticize. It is not that easy to get the job done. Go and ask the other 309 MPs in Parliament why nothing is being done. This is, in my view, this is a stupid question. I think you're dragging it. I thought we came here to discuss the warrant, the killing of Sindiso, but all you're going on about is a 10-minute trip. I don't get it. If the trip was an hour, would your answers be any different, Fadiel?
Let me finish. If the trip was?
If the trip was an hour, would your answers to my questions be any different? You seem to reduce it to a 10-minute trip, as if it is not significant to the use of state resources.
My answer would be exactly the same. It would be exactly, and you're saying, talking to me about the state resources. This was about state resources. This was about the plunder of state resources. Something that you're keen to avoid.
No, you see, this is the thing. I'm not engaging.
Let's talk about that.
The abuse. Let me tell you, first of all, I interviewed you on Sunday, as you seem to be here. On the strength of these multiple engagements I've had with you, you have said something that I believe is worthy of me engaging, the same way it was worthy of me engaging the police force, the brutality and the intimidation that was occasioned on those who occupied the property that was previously that of yours. Now, I'm asking, in the light of, for instance, there's coverage taking place right now at the Madlanga Commission that, among other things, is engaging how state resources have been abused. I don't want that to now attach to you, because you, absent a clarity coming from you, that you too are abusing state resources. I make all the concessions around General Khumalo because you have filed cases against him and he's now fighting for his freedom and I give you all of that, and in fact at the appropriate time we'll have more time for that. I just want to understand this now. How is it you, as a civilian,
Here's my point.
were able to access blue lights that I don't have access to when I feel threatened?
So, I've answered it on 2 occasions. I'm going to do it the 3rd time. I had a simple conversation with my dear mentor. I said to him, I don't know if I'll survive this trip back. He said, don't worry, we'll take care of your safety. When I got there, they were there. I got into the Uber. Listen to me, Uber, and they escorted me to the prison. I spent less than an hour in the prison. I came out, they escorted me back. If I've done something wrong, let me encourage you personally to report it to Parliament or the Public Protector or Madlanga. I was chasing truth and I was chasing justice. In hindsight, should I have driven behind them? Maybe not. but I'm still here chasing truth. I'm still here chasing justice. Now, as an olive branch, I offered to you, maybe I should repay the Durban Metro. If indeed my safety means so little, that's fine. That's fine. But the fact of the matter is, 60% of this interview has been focused on the 10-minute trip.
Fadiel, stop gaslighting us. And I want to clarify, guys, this interview, to those who just didn't hear this interview was conducted before he got arrested. Now he's already arrested. He's lying, Fadiel, here, because he went there to investigate about Magaqa. And people are asking, these questions are very much related to his trip to get to the statement of Magaqa, of the guy that unalived Magaqa. So he went there to get the information regarding the man that unalived Magaqa and what he knows and the information surrounding that particular unaliving. So now he can't want to choose and pick what is going to be talked about, because that was illegal from his side. We want to understand, how did he get the blue lights? We want to understand, how did he register there when we spoke to the hitman? And also we want to understand what information he got from the hitman. And after he got that information, what did he do with that? It's part of his investigation, Moss. Why does he just want us to pick and choose what to ask? Fidel.
Not the death of one of our finest, not the criminality of the SAPS, not the unlawfulness of the search, not the hypocrisy therein. Now, can we talk about that? Or wait, I try not to interrupt you. Or are we here to assist these generals on the way out?
Well, I don't have the answers to those questions precisely because I'm not the one investigating. In fact, earlier on I had a conversation with Brigadier Athlenda Mate, and she says you have interfered. So I'm somewhat reluctant to engage a conversation that relates to Sindiso Magaqa precisely because of what is referred to as at a sensitive stage in relation to the ongoing investigations of bringing those who are yet to come to book. The allegation against you is that you have interfered in that process. And okay, so let's go back to that process. You obviously will state categorically, I'm going to assume, that you were not interfering with that process, you were engaging in parliamentary work, and there was nothing wrong with you as a member of parliament doing your work and making that visit to parliament, because ultimately, what are you trying to do? You are trying to ensure that the rogue elements within the South African police services are taken out. That's a fair characterization, is that so?
Here's the issue with interference. It would mean that I try to either intervene or drive an investigation in a specific direction. I did none of that. I've never been in touch with the investigating officer. I've never been in touch with any of the witnesses. I've only ever spoke to the killer, and I reported it back to the Parliament. What Parliament did with it, that's disappointing because Parliament did nothing. What SAPS did with it, that's criminal because SAPS have done nothing. How can it take you 5 years? They've never been to see the killer. Never. How can it be at a sensitive stage when they've never spoken to the killer? When I showed them the affidavit in Parliament.
What are they going to do with the killer though, guys? The killer killed. Why would they rely on him? He must just say how is he involved, say his side of the story. Probably he said his side of the story. The fact that he's convicted and found guilty, what more would they want from him? They just know that some other people have worked with him or are in this with him, and there's hit orderers. The hit orderers, that's who they are looking for. What else are they going to tell him, to say to him? Because clearly he never was compliant. The fact that the hit orderer is not arrested, he was never compliant. He just wants to push his own own agenda and doesn't want to focus on the actual thing. So why should they go to him? Fidel.
But they've never asked me for it. How can it be? Is this what we're going to accept as policing?
I fully accept the frustration. No, I fully accept the frustration, and perhaps this is where I want us to understand. You are on record many times over saying that the cops know exactly where to find you. They shouldn't have to do anything elaborate in finding you. You can even present yourself as and when they do. Now, let's go back to what is alleged, at least from the SAP statement earlier today, that you did not present on Monday the 4th. The police say they spoke to your lawyer, and the lawyer confirmed that he will send you to Cape Town Central Police Station on Sunday at 10 a.m., Sunday past that is, and again on Monday at 9 a.m., but neither of these were honored. At least that's the allegation, and I put you to the proof thereof. Simple question, really. Did your lawyer contact you on Sunday and or Monday? And if so, why did you not assist your lawyer fulfill an obligation to which he had committed you to the South African Police Services for appearance at court on Monday or to the police station on Sunday the day before?
So here's not a word of a lie to you. The first time I spoke to my lawyer was on Sunday at about 3 o'clock. Sunday afternoon at about 3 o'clock, because he was trying to find me. I was at home. After that raid on the wrong premises on Saturday morning, I stayed at my house expecting the PKTT to come. They never came. I went to Mitchell. I contacted Mitchell's Plain Saps and I have the email. I asked him, has the PKTT informed you of any operations? Because I'm looking for the person that is driving this operation. They say, no, they've never spoken to us. Now that right there is unlawful, because they are supposed to check in and let the local SAPs know we are conducting an operation. But they didn't, because they act like criminals, right? My attorney and I agreed that I would hand myself over at 10 a.m. on Monday morning. There was no speak of Sunday. SAPS is lying. But my attorney, wanting a copy of the warrant and to know what the charges against me were before I hand myself over. And SAPS refused. This is when I tell my attorney, let's go to court. Let's force this information out of them. SAPS is telling a very one-sided story, and we have the paper trail. And let them deny it, because we have the paper trail. They never confirmed with my attorney that I should hand myself over at 10 o'clock on Sunday, because the first meeting I had with my attorney was at 3 o'clock on Sunday. And then we decide, okay, we will hand ourselves over on Monday as soon as we know what we're facing and where we're going. They refuse to tell us who the investigating officer is, because now we know he's a member of the PKTT, reporting to General Kumalo. They refuse to tell us the nature of the charges, the jurisdiction. They refuse to disclose the affidavit which was used to obtain this warrant. No information. Now, how lawful is any of this? How fair is any of this?
No,
so
sure.
why would I want to hand myself over to a team that could potentially be looking to kill me on the way to KZN? This is why we went to court.
Okay, so
do you know how many people have been killed? Do you know how many people have been killed by the PKTT? Dozens. I'm not going to be one of those statistics, I'm sorry.
I fully accept that, and I wouldn't want it at all to occasion to you or anybody else for that matter. We have enough crime in this country as it is. Can I just ask a more general question perhaps, but it does link to everything that you and I have been engaging. What does it look like for the leader of a party that is in Parliament, a member of the Portfolio Committee on Policing, to be speaking about the police in the terms, very disparaging terms with which you have, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, I'm just saying, what does it look like publicly to me and everybody else who watches this when you engage of and about the police as you have been? One. Two, they say that you are effectively a fugitive of justice in that you were supposed to have made an appearance in court on Monday. You did not. Now there is a warrant for your arrest, but they are still inviting you to go and present yourself to the nearest South African police station. In response to that, you then take on that to court. What does it look like? You may have reasons why you do that, and they may be very legitimate, and I will concede to that. But the aesthetics of it all, what do they look like from somebody who holds such a high position in society?
Nobody ever said that the truth was pretty to look at, sir. Nobody. I certainly didn't. What I can tell you is, you're talking about the disparaging terms that I mentioned, that I speak about these policemen. It is disparaging because it's truthful. They are apartheid-era operatives. They are alleged criminals. You must come to the Cape Flats and hear what we call dirty policemen. Now, let me tell you something. They are putting out an appeal for me to hand myself over 3 weeks after I offered to hand myself over. But they chose to ignore that email and send their dogs after me at 4 o'clock in the morning with rifles. Why are they putting out this appeal for me to hand myself over today when they are due in court tomorrow? Tomorrow they must bring their paperwork. The judge wants to see how legal it is. Why are they putting out the appeal today when they could have done it Friday, Saturday, Sunday or Monday? Why do it 24 hours before you're due in court? They're desperate to stay out of court because they want me in KZN by hook or by crook, but they're going to get me. I'm not running. The charge has been laid in KZN. I'll appear in KZN. But we are concerned about the legality of this. We are concerned about the victimization and the intimidation that comes with this tactic. That is our concern. And if anybody expects us to back down over that issue, well, I'm sorry, we can't.
Mr. Adams, thank you so much for your time. Verify, because I spent an inordinate amount of time focusing on what you refer to as stupid questions on me engaging blue lights, and you feel other aspects about this issue have not been ventilated fully.
Let me apologize for my outburst. It was just getting a little bit frustrating because I'm chasing an outcome here. Let me apologize, but I want the country to understand the following. The PKTT is headed by General Khumalo. We understand this. Right? I'm being investigated by the PKTT that is headed by General Khumalo. General Khumalo is in court on charges of fraud that was laid by me. The court has ordered him not to interfere or intimidate any witnesses. If indeed this docket ended on General Khumalo's desk and he assigned an investigator, he should have known he shouldn't be in a position to. He's breached his bail conditions. Now, when I've informed you already that I'm happy to hand myself over, why are you sending 15 thugs with rifles into what you think to be my house at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Sorry to interrupt. I know you don't like this. Why don't you just go to the SEPs and say, I'm Fadiel Adams. I understand you've been looking for me. Here I am now. Let's cut to the chase and get to the bone of this issue. Why is that not possible?
But I've just told you that I'm doing that. I'm going to KZN. I'm going to hand myself over, but we're going to court first. There is a court process underway. And I expect the SAPs to honor the courts. This is how it works in the country. I have a right to go to court. Why should I jump when alleged criminals tell me to jump? We will face the judge first. And then I will fly to KZN, hand myself over, be fingerprinted, and beat these charges in court. Because there's no truth to it. It's very simple.
Mr. Adams, thank you.
All I can say is that I just think that this is very far from over. We know that he's friends with people like Shanek, Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibia. He's on that side of things. And I think that they definitely are fighting. The fight is far from over because he does not see it as them asking him to take accountability on his part. He sees this as an attack. You get me? But when Fani Masemula was arrested or was charged for his lack of oversight and allowing these irregularities of that 360 million tender, he was one of the people that were at the forefront saying that he must be arrested, he must take accountability. But Fadiel Adams, doesn't want to take accountability. It's an attack on him. But when it was Fani Masemula, he was supposed to be taking accountability and acknowledge his role in that 360 million tender. He must also take accountability and his role that he played in that particular case of Sindiso Magaqa. Nonetheless, guys, let me hear your thoughts. It's already long. Let me hear your thoughts, what you think. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you in my next upload. Bye.